Good day, everybody. You're watching Beyond the Test Drive. We're doing a quick update on our long-term Mazda 3 today, and we're going to debut our new long-term, or something that we just recently bought. If you're new here and you haven't seen our entire series on this Mazda 3, I got the link right up there. You can check out all of our reviews and commentary and ownership experience with this 2022 Carbon Edition Mazda 3. And if you're returning, a major thank you. We do appreciate that. So it's right around 25,000 miles. Nothing really big going on here today. I do want to talk about gas mileage because I think I have the first real number on how this is doing on fuel economy, and even more important, how accurate is that trip computer inside the car. We've done a little test there, but I do want to talk about the paint. No real issues. It just had its 25,000 mile oil change. The next update will be at 30,000 miles, but I do want to show you, I've been talking about how great the paint has been, no chips, but I do have one little paint issue, and that's down here on the lower air dam. I don't know if you can see that, but that paint is gone. I don't even want to flick it with my nail because it will keep going. So we're gonna have to get some touch up there. I don't know what happened here. Maybe it got whacked with a big rock or something, but all the paint off this plastic air dam is gone. Other than that, the paint is great, but I wanted to point that out. So yeah, for the last 3 months, let's go ahead and turn this on. We have driven 3,295 miles. I have filled the car up 10 times over that 3,000 miles with 100.67 gallons. And based on all that mathematics, that comes out to 32.7 miles per gallon, 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers. The trip computer was reset 10 tanks ago, and what it is telling us right now is 33.5. So that's 0.8 gallon optimistic on the computer. It's less than 1, so I'm going to give that kind of a thumbs up, but just something to keep in mind. I would consider that a very accurate test. We're going to start this 10 tank thing all over again and update probably maybe at 30,000 mile. We'll have another update on how accurate this trip computer is. So as expected, it's optimistic, just something to keep in mind. But what we really want to do today is talk about this. Now, this is a 2023 CX-9 Grand Touring trim level, and I do have a full review of this that we made when we were pondering the purchase of this, and this has just about every bell and whistle on it. It is in a great blue color, and I'm going to talk about 5 reasons why we chose the CX-9, because the CX-90, it was quite the back and forth about whether to get a CX-90 and splurge or do something like this. And of course, the CX-9 is old and busted, and the CX-90 is the new hotness. Why we thought this was going to be good for the channel, somewhat, not as good as a CX-90 would have been, but number one reason, and I'll tell you right now why, and that is under the hood. Here it is, the 2.5 turbo. This is the same engine that Mazda's putting in their lineup, the CX-30, the CX-50, the CX-5, even the Mazda 3 gets this 2.5 turbo. So, and it has a 6-speed transmission. So if you own one of those cars or are interested in following what life is like with the turbo 2.5, then go ahead, follow us on the CX-9, because we think the CX-9 is the most stressed that this turbo engine experiences in the lineup. This is the heaviest vehicle that uses the 2.5 turbo. Let's go ahead and talk about reason number 2, and that's what we needed as far as a second vehicle in the household. We did need to replace a long-suffering minivan. It did all the terrible duties of hauling people and stuff, so we did need some level of utility and people hauling capability. So I'm not really a 3-row SUV person. I thought maybe we could get away with one of the compacts or 2 rows, and so if it was going to be a 3-row and we wanted a Mazda, we like to stay in the Mazda family. We do like Mazda interiors. We do like the overall vibe. The CX-9 was always at the top of the list. And then we got that curveball when they came out with the CX-90. So then it became, well, do we really need the 3 rows or not? And I'm glad we did get it, because it has been very, very useful. We have done 5 people vacations in this already. It's a great 5-passenger car. We can take all the gear and stuff if we flip down that 3rd row, and we put 2 people in the 2nd row and 1 in the back, and that has worked out pretty good. We did need the utility and the people capability, the occasional people capability that a 3-row offers, and it had to drive well. And that naturally leads into reason number 3 is how this drives. So, you know, this isn't a CX-90 bashing video. I will say that drivetrain performance, it's completely different than the CX-90. It's amazing how, you know, the CX-90, apparently they used the dynamics of the CX-9 as their benchmark, because they couldn't find another mainstream SUV out there that they felt handled good enough to benchmark the 90 again. So I think dynamically the 90 and the 9 are very, very close. I would say the 90 maybe feel a little bit more light on its feet. I can't guarantee that, because this does feel pretty heavy. They both are heavy vehicles. Now when it comes to the drivetrain, it's a completely different experience, and that's one thing that's so impressive about the 9 is just how in the background this transmission goes. This is always in the right gear, and the transmission is seamless. The transmission seems like it was made specifically for the heaviness of this vehicle and that 2.5 turbo. So dynamically this drives great. I'd say this is 90%, you know, when it comes to quietness, solidity, comfort. It's, you know, this is really, really hard to differentiate against the CX-90. Let's talk about that 4th reason real fast, and I think that has to do with how well sorted the CX-9 is. You know, there's not a lot of these out there. So I think, you know, the CX-5 is known for its reliability. This is the same sort of platform as that CX-5. There's been some issues with the, well, at least you read about some issues with the coolant leaks and maybe some oil burning. Again, that's why we thought it'd be a good content to give you a good, fair assessment of our experience. And there's not a lot of CX-90s out there, so I think statistically it's hard to get a real good data set of how good this compares to something that sells hundreds of thousands of copies, like a Highlander or something. And I think in general, when CX-9 people have problems, they do go on the internet more and squawk about them, and you hear the problem. So given that it's a small data set, I think this could be skewed to people believing that there are some issues with this. All right, guys, let's talk about the 5th and final reason we purchased this CX-9, and that has to do with value. You know, it's more than just price. Sometimes it's really about value, and you have to feel good about your purchase on what you paid and what you got. And for that reason, we are feeling really, really good, because I can't exactly, I don't want to get into pricing because it means different things to different people depending on where our viewers are, but this is a little over 25% off its original MSRP. So this is a Grand Touring 2023, so I think they were up around $47,000-ish. So it kind of gives you an idea, 6,000 miles, why we felt this was just a great purchase, especially with all the features. All cars are expensive, so I'm not going to say this is cheap, but the value was there. And when we were seriously thinking about getting a 2-row compact like an HR, like a CR-V or a RAV4, we couldn't come close to the price of this. And if we wanted a hybrid version of those to save some gas, well, that was going to be even more than this pretty much brand new CX-9. So anyway, if you want to follow along, we got 2 Mazdas now. I don't know if that constitutes a fleet of Mazdas, but we like to call it our Mazda fleet. If you want to follow along with our Mazda 3 and our CX-9, we're probably going to do an update on this and how we feel about it a few months later at the 15,000 mile mark. And our Mazda 3, we got a 30,000 mile, a big milestone coming up with that probably in the next couple months. So definitely subscribe if you want to follow and stay up on our Mazdas, and we hope to have a lot more new Mazda content in the future. So thanks for coming along today. We really appreciate that. and have a great day, morning or evening, wherever you may be. People's opinions on this get thwarted. Wow, that is a wild turkey.